All right, so we're Team KISS, and I'll go ahead and introduce our team members. So from Kern County, we have Brian Richards and Eric Mansfield. From Sacramento County, we have Jim Wheeler, Mark Musler, Robert Schultz, and Steve Braid. And then from San Joaquin County, we have Beth Warren, Lisa Knight, and myself, Greg Moore. So when we got together, we came up with the idea of collecting all of the different aspects of cloud computing that you should be concerned about when you're thinking about migrating your services either to the cloud or from the cloud. So with that, we actually used the cloud to communicate since we were kind of all over. We didn't use any of these guidelines. We wish we would have had them when we started. So with that, we came up with some questions from the document, so we'll go over those now. So something to be thinking about is vendor lock-in. So you have a proprietary system that you utilize in the cloud. Moving away from that can be difficult. And then following on to that, customizations of a system. So that's another form of kind of vendor lock-in. If you customize a platform, you're going to have a hard time moving away from it. We also have value-added services. So you want to look for services that you can easily replace, that maybe you can get from different vendors, so that way you don't get locked in. And then also, if you have to leave either a solution that you currently have or a cloud-hosted solution, you want to think about what are the exit provisions, how are you going to get access to your data, how long is that data going to be accessible to you once you do leave a platform. So with that, I'll pass it on.
Hello, my name is Rob Schultz. I'm with Sacramento County, and one of the things that our group wanted to do was look into what others have done before us as we started to make this assessment. And so one of the questions up here is, if you're implementing a large-scale, high-risk system in the cloud, is there a standard you should consider? And if applicable, the short answer would be FedRAMP would be a good standard. And where we came to that was we took a review of what the federal government had gone through, and I'll give you the quick synopsis of that. In 2002, Congress passed the Federal Information Management Security Act, FISMA, that basically defined the data standards for federal IT systems, and specifically for the federal data centers. And most of the federal government wasn't meeting these standards, so in came the rush of growth requests for funding to fix their data centers. By 2008, the federal government was paying $8 billion for data centers. So in 2010, then CIO Vivek Kundra published 25-point implementation plan to reform the federal information technology management. And one of those 25 points was that the federal government was going to shift to a cloud-first policy. So with that shift, in 2011, the following year, they enacted the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, also known as FedRAMP. And under that program, what it does is it creates an independent third-party auditing process and verification process for evaluating your cloud-based systems. So if you are working with a vendor that is also selling similar services to the federal government, they're probably already either moving down or have obtained a FedRAMP certification. So the next question, where's our mouse here? Enter, okay. Is, do all applications require certifications? And the short answer is no. But what you get out of a certification process is a third-party evaluation and audit and a set of industry standard. So we went through a number of certifications, many that you work with all the time: CJIS certifications, FDA certifications, FERPA, FIPS, HIPAA, HITRUST, the IRS 1075, the MARS-E, the PCI DSS for payment card security. all of these other certifications may apply in your area. So essentially, if you're not using a certification, you either have to do your own audit or requirements and follow-up, which could be rather difficult if you've got systems all over the country. So based upon these reviews, we developed some recommended areas of focus, and that's what the rest of the team will be presenting here.
Hi there, I'm Jim Wheeler, and I'm going to talk to you about insurance. Going to go a little bit off the slide here, accelerate things somewhat. So many organizations assume that if their vendors have errors in omissions insurance, they're covered for anything that goes wrong. Well, it's not the case if you have a malicious hacker. If you're attacked, then the error and omissions clause usually doesn't cover it. To cover this gap, you have to have cyber insurance, for lack of better words. And in California, CSAC has entered into an agreement with Beasley Insurance, a subsidiary of Lloyd's of London. And it provides coverage up to a cap of $10 million for the group. Now, this does mean that if somebody blows through that coverage during the year, that the rest of the counties are not covered. So a lot of folks have entered into their own policies. And some counties have also added standard contract language to their policies. Thanks. Mark.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Muster. I'm from the County of Sacramento. Now, how many of you thought to curl up in front of a nice fire on a Friday evening, kind of cool outside, and sit there and read a contract? Doesn't that sound great? Yeah, well, the good news is there's people who actually like to read contracts, and so one of the important things to do is to get them involved early. That's my slide. Get them involved early, and that would be county council and risk management, so they actually enjoy looking at contract language. The other thing is there's really no silver bullet when it comes to contract language or a strategy that fits all, either all organizations or all situations. And the other thing that will happen is when you enter into a contract with a cloud provider, most of them will have their own language. Just don't accept that out of the box, though. Even the monolithic applications, such as I deal with SAP, even entering into an SAP cloud contract, we were able to change some of the language in that. So don't just think because they're such a huge organization that you're stuck with whatever they have in their contract. They will work with you and put in your language to. The whole idea is to reduce financial and operational risk with that contract. So with that said, we also have some information in there, example language in our presentation from software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service that you can look at. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lisa Knight from San Joaquin to talk about cloud policy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Without a well-understood policy in place at your organization, all of the material you've heard so far could go unused. A policy will guide your organization through the myriad of processes, certifications, contracts, and those responsible to carry them out. Your cloud policy will serve to manage your county's data and information assets, and typically this policy includes a goal, the data classification, scope, and responsibilities. Your acceptable use policy can be incorporated into your cloud policy, which keeps your county's goals aligned. You may also refer to NIST for guidance. Once you have a policy in place, you need scheduled reviews to keep your policy relevant in regards to technology and security changes.
So that was a lot, right? It almost sounded like contract language in itself. So we realized it's a lot of information and it takes a while to go through all of it. So up on group site, we have a document that kind of has some templates or some template language for you. We have some check boxes you can go through to see if you're taking everything into account. And we also just have some sample, thank you Santa Clara County, I believe they provided some of the examples that we gave out. Lots of questions, lots of things to do. Make sure you include county council, your IT technology management, risk management, and of course purchasing. And just take it one bite at a time. We've all got our head in the clouds, right? So great.
With that, if you guys have any questions, we're available.